Russian soldiers tiptoeing through the snow, clueless that their final day was upon them. Even the tiniest twitch, 500 yards away, was all it took for Simo Häyhä, the ultimate sniper extraordinaire, to lock onto his prey. This, my friends, is the tale of the White Death. So, it's December 21st, 1939, and Simo wakes up ready to take on the world. He's got his breakfast of champions, sugar cubes, and rye bread, and he's raring to go. Little does he know, this day is going to be a doozy. Simo heads out to his favorite spot, a big old hill with a nice downslope. He's been digging all night, creating the perfect little hidey hole. The fresh snow covers up any signs of his handiwork, so the Russians are going to be scratching their heads like a bunch of monkeys trying to figure out where this guy is coming from.
Where is that coming from?
Now, you'd think that with winter in full swing, the Russian occupiers would have the common sense to issue their troops some proper winter gear. But nope, they're too busy playing dress-up in their ill-fitting hand-me-downs
My clothes don't fit.
to worry about keeping their soldiers warm and camouflaged. Lucky for us, because it makes Simo's job a whole lot easier.
These clothes look stupid.
Our little hero of height 5 feet and 3 inches is from a tiny little hamlet in the backwoods of Finland. But don't let that fool you. He's got more grit and determination than a whole battalion of Russian sorry excuses for soldiers.
Thinks he's better than us. But is he better than us?
Now, Simo may have started out as just another fresh-faced 17-year-old. But when he volunteered for the Civil Guard, he was already showing the kind of motivation that would make even the toughest drill sergeant weep with joy. And let me tell you, his time in the bicycle battalion, that's where the real magic happened. These guys were the original extreme sports enthusiasts, zipping around the Finnish countryside on their trusty two-wheelers, making the enemy look like a bunch of bumbling fools. And Simo? He was the king of the hill, weaving through the trees and over the hills. Sure, some of you might be thinking, but wait, bicycles in war? That's just plain silly. Well, let me tell you, these weren't your grandma's tricycles, okay? These were state-of-the-art, high-speed, death-defying machines of destruction. And Simo? He was the master of them all. Simo got himself a sweet little spot on the downslope of a big old hill, and he spent all night digging himself in like a tick on a dog. He's staying away from those trees because he knows that if he'd set up shop there, it'd be like putting a big old neon sign saying, "Shoot me," right above his head. But Simo's a smart cookie. That fresh layer of snow, it's going to cover up all the signs of his digging, like a big old blanket of white goodness. Simo's got a few tricks up his sleeve. First off, he's got the sun on his side. As it sets, it's going to be shining right into the eyes of anyone trying to hunt him down. It's like they're trying to play I Spy with a blindfold on. And then there's the downslope itself. It's got two big advantages. It casts a shadow, making it harder for anyone to spot Simo, and it's going to catch all the falling snow, piling it on top of him like a cozy little blanket. So, Simo settles in, rifle at the ready, and waits, and waits, and waits some more. And then, like a bolt of lightning, he strikes. It all started in the year 1939. Old Uncle Joe Stalin is getting a little too friendly with the Nazi leader Hitler. They're carving up Europe like a couple of hungry hyenas. And guess who's on the menu? That's right. The good old USSR is setting its sights on Finland. And let me tell you, these Finns ain't having it. So what does Stalin do? He sends his bumbling band of buffoons to bomb the living daylights out of Finnish cities, all while trying to convince the world that he's just delivering food packages to the Finns. Yeah, right. These aren't care packages, comrade. These are high-explosive goodies, straight from Uncle Joe's personal stash. But the Finns aren't buying it. Oh no, they've got a few choice words for Stalin's Molotov bread baskets. And let me tell you, they ain't exactly PG rated.
There are many words for people like that.
These guys are tough as nails, and they're not about to let a bunch of red-clad goons push them around. So, when Stalin comes knocking with his ultimatums, demanding that Finland surrender, the Finns say, "Hey, kiddos," and give him the old 1-2. They're not about to bend the knee to some mustachioed madman with delusions of grandeur.
Bend the knee and join me.
So, the first Russian soldier to feel Simo's wrath was just your average Joe, dressed in his khaki uniform, looking like a big old target against the white snow. He was marching around completely oblivious to the fact that death was lurking just a few yards away. But Simo, he was cool as a cucumber, his Finnish Lahti L-39 already set up and ready to go. With a steady hand and a twinkle in his eye, he took aim. And bam! Down goes the Russian. His life cut short faster than a toddler's attention span. And if you thought that was bad, just wait until you hear about the second guy. Now, Simo's not one to complain, but he's also not a fan of all these fancy schmancy telescopic sights that the other scouts are using these days. Sure, they're great for picking off targets from miles away, but they also have a nasty habit of catching the light and giving away your position. Simo's seen it happen too many times. One glint in the sunlight, and suddenly your head's exploding like a ripe melon. And it's not just his fellow Finns who've fallen victim to this optical betrayal. But not today, my friends. Today, Simo's going old school with his trusty iron sights, ready to pick off these hapless invaders. And you can bet your bottom dollar that when he's done, the snow will be stained red with the blood of his enemies.
The blood of my enemies, not the blood of innocents.
The Russians are running around like headless chickens, trying to figure out where this ghost in the snow is coming from. By the time the day is done, Simo has racked up 25 kills, one every 14 minutes. The Russians are going to be telling stories about the White Death for generations to come. And Simo, he's just going to be sitting back, knowing that he's the baddest sniper this side of the Arctic Circle, nigh the whole world. And let's not forget about those brilliant Russian tank drivers, shall we? Driving their metal behemoths right onto frozen lakes, only to watch them turn into submarine sandwiches. Talk about a real-life comedy of errors. But you know what they say? The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
You forget how incredibly stupid they are.
And Simo's about to make these Soviet goons fall harder than a sack of bricks. He's got his kill order all lined up, and with that old rifle of his, he's about to put on one heck of a show. While these poor saps, hastily drawn up from farms and villages across the Soviet Union, are busy freezing their tails off in their ill-fitting uniforms, Simo's taking them out one by one, like a hot knife through butter. The second Rusky, he was just as clueless as the first, running around in his khaki uniform, sticking out like a sore thumb against the white backdrop. But Simo, he was like a sniper-shaped ninja, picking him off with the same ease as a kid plucking a daisy. His rifle fired with a quiet precision that would make even the most seasoned assassin green with envy. The Russians were running, but they had no idea where they were going or why. They were just trying to escape the bullets that seemed to come out of nowhere, like a bunch of kids playing a really messed up game of dodgeball. Simo got ice running through his veins, and he's not about to let a little thing like minus 40 degrees Celsius stop him from putting a bullet between Russians' eyes. Now, you might be thinking, but wait, how does he hit from so far? Well, let me tell you. Simo's got a few tricks. He's not even lifting his head up to take the shot. Nope, this guy's got his head down, blending in with the snow like a chameleon in a snowstorm. He's even got snow in his mouth to keep his breath from giving him away. Talk about dedication, am I right?
Be subtle, blend in, disappear.
Now, Simo's body might be aching to move and stretch after 6 hours of staying still, but he's not about to let that stop him. He's got a few pieces of bread and some sugar cubes stashed away, and he's not afraid to use them. He moves slower, but he gets that sugar cube in his mouth without making a sound. It takes him half an hour to get that cube dissolved, but it's worth it to keep those shakes away and his aim true. Satisfied that nobody's in charge, Simo takes a moment to refill his mouth with some fresh snow. He moves slow, steady, and methodical, because he knows that if he gets too hasty, he'll give away his position. The occasional rifle round falls near him from the panicked soldiers below, but he's not worried. It'll take all the luck in the world for these amateurs to spot his little hideout. Now, the fresh mouthful of snow is crucial. It cools his breath before he exhales, so it doesn't give him away with a telltale stream of steam. Ready to get back to work, he brings the iron sights back to his eye again. He adjusts for the rising wind and squeezes the trigger. Colonel Vasily Zaitsev, the Russian commanding officer, is getting all worked up like a wet cat in a bathtub. His men are dropping like flies, and he's got no idea where the shots are coming from. He's like, "Hey, artillery, get over here and blast this guy." But those shells are just landing in the snow like a bunch of snowballs, not even touching Simo's hideout. The artillery's tearing up the trees all around Simo, trying to eliminate any potential hiding spots. But this guy's a master of his craft. He knows a good sniper never goes for the obvious spots, so he's been hiding in plain sight the whole time, laughing at these Rusky goons as they waste their ammo. Zaitsev is all like, "What the heck is going on? Why can't we get this guy?" He's got his men running around, and he's just sitting there, gritting his teeth like a grumpy old man. He knows they need to regroup and figure out how to take down this sniper, but he's all, I don't want to face this guy. He's too good. Zaitsev has seen a lot of battles, but he's never seen an enemy like Simo Häyhä. The barrage goes on for what feels like an eternity, but Simo's not going anywhere. The falling snow is only helping to camouflage him even more. And when the artillery finally stops, he knows it's time to make his move. He avoids the crest of the hill, where he'd be silhouetted against the night sky, and instead follows the military crest, staying low and using the twisted, splintered trees as cover. Within minutes, Simo's left his old position, and that frustrated Rusky sniper behind, and he's on his way back to friendly lines. He's got a predetermined spot where he's expected. Simo is sitting in his base, his rifle cleaned and his gear stowed away, like a kid putting away his toys after a long day of play. He feels no sense of pride, no sense of accomplishment. To him, this is simply a job that needs to be done. He knows his actions have saved lives, that he's fought for his country and his people, like a hero saving the day. But the weight of the lives he's taken weighs heavily on his heart, like a kid carrying a heavy backpack.
Maybe he's just doing what needs to be done.
As the days turn into weeks and the weeks into months, Simo continues to fight, his skills honed to perfection, like a master craftsman sharpening his tools. He becomes a legend among his fellow soldiers, a symbol of Finnish resilience and determination, like a superhero saving the world. But to Simo, he's just a man doing his job, a man who's faced death with a steady hand and a fearless heart. In his private memoirs called Book of Sin, which was later revealed, he lays bare his inner demons, detailing the 500-plus soldiers who met their end because of him and his trusty rifle. He doesn't bother justifying his actions. He's seen too much death to bother with excuses. At the end of the day, Simo's just a guy with a rifle, trying to protect his homeland from a bunch of invaders.
You made a huge sacrifice for your country.
Unfortunately, even the best of us have to face the music eventually. And in Simo's case, it came in the form of a nasty little explosive round to the face. But let me tell you, this guy's tougher than a $2 steak. He may have lost his jaw and half his face, but he's still kicking. Simo spent a whole week in a coma, but when he finally came to, it was on the very day that the Finns and the Soviets called a truce. Now that's perfect timing. And let me tell you, it took 26 surgeries to put Simo's face back together, but you better believe he's still got the scars to prove it. This guy's a walking, talking war wound, and he's wearing it like a badge of honor. But the Finns didn't just let Simo limp off into the sunset. Oh no. They went and promoted him all the way from corporal to second lieutenant, which is like the biggest single promotion in the history of the Finnish military. Talk about a guy who's earned his stripes. And to top it all off, they gave Simo his very own farm called White Lake, which is just the perfect little nod to the fact that they've been calling this guy the White Death the whole time. So, after everything he's been through, our little humble hero Simo Häyhä gets to go back to the simple life, living on his little farm and enjoying the peace and serenity of the Finnish countryside. Just like every good superhero, he's earned his happily ever after.